Describe how the average Canadian's life is impacted day to day by Israeli-produced goods and services.
Well, you take, Joe Canada or Jane Canada, who wakes up in Toronto or in the West Coast or wherever they are. Literally, at many points during their day time, they're going to be touching Israeli technology. When they flip open their computer after they've hit the head for the morning ablutions, they're probably going to be using an Intel chip. That Intel chip was by and large designed here in Israel. The second largest congregation of Intel people in the world is here in Israel. We do most of the R&D for their advanced chipsets. So when you open up your computer, you're touching Israel. Israel is really inside of Intel. You probably are going to check your instant messaging. Certainly if you're under 25, you're checking instant messaging. That was invented here in Israel by a company called ICQ. At a certain point, you're probably going to plug in your MP3 player, okay, which is based on flash memory. That flash memory was probably developed here in Israel for either SanDisk or you're even carrying a disk on key, a little thumb drive. That was an Israeli invention. At a certain point, you're going to be tired, you want to kick back and watch a big screen TV. That's going to have a chip that was a chip developed in Israel by a company called O+, bought by Intel. You're at some point going to watch satellite TV. If you're part of the news corporation network, such as DirecTV, that's also got a chip which was essentially developed in Jerusalem by Jerusalem's largest employer, NDS. If at some point during the day you're going to feel a little bit under the weather and need to take a pharmaceutical, legal pharmaceutical that is, the company that sells the most in North America, pharmaceuticals of all kinds, is an Israeli company called Teva. They're the world leader in generic drugs. If you're going to work at a big corporation, your corporation is probably being protected by Checkpoint. If it's one of the Fortune 500, all 500 of them are using Checkpoint's firewall technology to keep bad guys out of your network. If you're going to use your cell phone is essentially a later generation of the world's first cell phone, which was developed by Motorola here in Israel. If you're going to make a phone call and get billed, perhaps by Rogers or some other telecommunications company, the guys who are doing that are by and large Amdocs, which is the world's largest billing company. If you're going to want to make a free phone call on voice over IP, that technology, voice over IP, was developed in Israel. So whether you're kicking back with music, taking digital photography, sending instant messages, working and making some money, watching some TV, or computing, each and every time you do that, you're touching Israeli technology.
So how do anti-Israel activists and those who call for a boycott of Israeli goods justify a boycott of Israeli goods given this pervasive interaction with Israeli
technology?
Because
they're liars, and they're not willing to confront the reality. For example, Google has 2 research and development centers in Israel. They have many development centers around the world, but in Israel, this tiny little country, they have 2 of them. One in Haifa and one in Tel Aviv. So you want to boycott Israel? Boycott Google. You want to boycott Israel? Why don't you boycott Cisco? They bought 9 Israeli companies in the last decade. You want to boycott Israel? Stop working with IBM. Stop using Broadcom chips, which are in every single broadband communications product. Stop using fiber optics. Stop taking generic drugs. In other words, boycotting Israel is just absurd. So if some people want to make headlines, want to get news, and so they go pick on a few Israeli tomatoes, pick on somebody your own size. Okay? Talk about what Israel really is doing for the world, which is fighting cancer, which is leading the world in terms of green technology. Israel is out there in terms of wind and solar and water. Okay? So if you want to go back and live in the Middle Ages, that's your right. Let's be honest about it. Tell people what they really ought to boycott. Destroy your computers. Throw away your cell phones. Okay? Stop using instant messaging. And when you're honest like that, then I'll take you seriously about your interest in boycotting.